Hello and welcome to NewsX Deep Dive with me, Asavri Jindal. Today we're going to talk about the horrific incident that took place at the Swami Venkateshwar temple in Andhra Pradesh's Srikakulam. Horrific visuals have emerged from the Swami Venkateshwara temple where a sudden stampede broke out amid massive crowds on the occasion of Ekadashi. These pictures on your screens show some of the horrific moments that took away at least 9 lives, injuring hundreds of others. In this image, you can see at least 3 women who have fallen down amid the chaos, while one woman seems to be screaming. This picture particularly is enough to see the scale of the crowds inside the temple. These pictures are from the exact staircase where the railing fell off, leading to the stampede. We can see hundreds of women holding puja baskets in a frantic attempt to save themselves. In the left, you can see how these people were crushed against each other, attempting to escape. Meanwhile, the image on the right shows a woman attempting to breathe amid the crowd. This photograph shows the ways by which the devotees are attempting to escape the chaos. This man right here has climbed up a pole while a woman on the right side attempts to climb through the railing to escape. The same woman was seen falling down in her desperate attempt to save herself. Meanwhile, several people outside seem to try and help the woman by offering their support. On your screens is another devastating image from the same staircase. The sheer number of people led to the railing falling off, becoming a prime cause of the stampede. We can see some devotees, in fact, being pushed off the staircase. Here is another image. We can see people diving head first away from the stampede, all in an attempt to save themselves from being crushed by the crowd. This picture right here shows the struggle of the people. In fact, one man can be seen holding onto a girl as she seems to fall down. Meanwhile, another man can be seen, in fact, trying to shield others as he faces the crowd. Let us take a look at some of the videos that have emerged from the horrific incident. The visual on your screens is from the temple where the stampede had completely broken out. You can see people latching onto the poles while several have fallen on the ground. You can see the amount of panic of the people and what they're facing. Here in this visual, in fact, you can see people trying to help others by pulling them from the spot of the stampede. Since the railing of the staircase here had fallen down, there also can be seen a large crowd right below the staircase, adding up to the crowd. What was a normal day in the lives of these people, a day of celebration, in fact, soon turned into a nightmare with the horrific stampede leaving destruction and despair in its wake. You can see several bodies of women lying down in what seems to be the aftermath of the stampede. Another heartbreaking visual here shows a woman crying in despair as she holds on to a boy on the staircase of the temple after the stampede. In fact, you can see people's belongings scattered across the stairs as a reminder of what had taken place. Following the tragedy, police and medical teams rushed to the spot to conduct rescue and relief operations. However, even locals with first aid knowledge stepped up, offering CPR to the victims of the stampede. On your screens is one of the most heartbreaking visuals from the incident where a wailing mother is attempting to help her child who seems to be unconscious. What's important to note is that the temple, also known as Mini Tirupati, is not under the government's endowments department that manages thousands of temples in the state. The temple authorities had not informed the local administration that such a huge rush was expected on Ekadashi. While the temple actually has a permit for 20 acres of land, the compound spans 13 acres. This area is large enough to ensure a capacity of around 5,000 people. However, according to reports, the number of people at the temple exceeded double the expected number. While temple authorities state that the surge in the number of devotees arriving at the temple caused the stampede, one important point to note is that the entry and exit points of the temple were the exact same. This, of course, caused the rush that was in fact intensified by the railing falling down. So, who should be held responsible here? Well, several have raised questions on the systematic arrangements. Considering the large size of the compound, better crowd management and preparations could have saved 9 innocent lost lives in this tragic stampede. Let's now take a look at some of the lapses that have been reported that led to the tragic stampede. According to reports, the event organizers did not obtain any official permission or inform the state government about the mass congregation. Despite expecting thousands of devotees, no prior intimation or crowd control managements were made. Any of those arrangements, nothing of that sort was made. Another major lapse here was the area where the pilgrims assembled, which was reportedly under construction, and work was still underway at the site when the incident occurred, a violation of basic safety norms. Adding to the chaos, the temple's entry and exit points were the exact same, creating a dangerous bottleneck as devotees tried to move in and out simultaneously. With no proper barricades or crowd management measures in place, the situation quickly spiraled out of control. This marks the third major stampede in India so far in 2025. Being the nation with the second highest population in the world, we are yet to reach a solution on how to implement crowd management techniques. Lapses like these are just another brutal reality check on one of the biggest problems in India. Let's take this conversation forward with Ms. Yamuna Pathak, political analyst, joining us on the broadcast. Ma'am, thank you for your time speaking to us on NewsX. We've, of course, now taken a deep dive into the stampede that took place, that has now costed, that's in fact led to the loss of 9 lives. Where do you exactly see all of it going wrong?
Yeah, good evening. Especially my heartfelt condolences to all the bereaved families where the tragic incident took place in Srikakulam district of Andhra Pradesh in Kasibugga temple. It shows a vivid picture. It has been given a vivid picture to all of us. The kind of a miserable failure of the temple management, because every temple they will have a clear idea about the kind of inflow of devotees, especially during the pious days of especially of these kind of months across the year. So the temple management, they have severely, they have literally, they have failed in terms of predicting the kind of devotees who are actually able to come to this temple. And when they're aware, because we already said that it has a capacity about 5,000 devotees, and today the devotees exceeded the limit beyond 5,000. Why is that the temple management miserably failed in having a pre-registrations or a ticketing system which would have clearly given a vivid idea of how many exactly coming and what is the inflow of devotees to the temple on this day. And another miserable thing is the entry point, the entry and the exit, because there are no wider entry and exit points where because these are the points where most of the time devotees lack the knowledge, and they don't have the awareness about in the times of crisis, especially when when the overcrowding or something like that, where the devotees don't even have an idea about what is that exact exit point or what are the different points where they can accommodate themselves, during this kind of large crowds. And also we can prevent the bottlenecks, what is the lapses during the entire scenario. And another area is when this temple has a huge land base, which you are saying it about, and why is that they're not able to have a waiting areas is another question of concern, because when they have a vast land there, they could have created a waiting areas for the devotees to reduce overcrowding during this kind of a rush hour. This is one other thing. And why does a temple at least have CCTVs or any kind of a drone systems where they could have easily monitored, or the kind of crowd monitoring could have happened? So these kind of systems, these kind of lapses have actually increased more chances of this kind of incident which took place today, which is very unfortunate. So using of CCTV cameras or a drone system must have mitigated this problem to the lesser density. So these kind of things are not there, and unfortunately, I would like to say another thing is there is no public awareness regarding in educating devotees about crowd safety, and also the crowd safety protocols and what is the responsible behavior. So this is also lacking. So all these kind of things also paved a bigger thing, and there are no clear signage where throughout the temple to guide the devotees to avoid confusion. So these kind of lapses, especially the exit points, the wider one should have a wider entry and the exit points, which are
Correct.
lacking. Right. So, and another thing is no CCTV coverage, or probably if it is there, there is why is this such failure? Why is that they're not able to monitor? So this is absolutely miserable when they failed in the entire the crowd control management is a total failure when you regard this. So one things cannot happen. And what about the local administration, local people? Why is that they don't have a basic idea of how many devotees are turning out? Because things cannot happen overnight, right? So the temple has they should have an assessment, they should have a proper system, they should have a proper mechanism where they could place the they could have they have allocated proper waiting areas, allowing people, once there are about few number of people who are going inside, let them come out, and after that they should have allowed the rest of the devotees, another set of
Correct.
devotees, which didn't take place.
Yeah, so
This is
absolutely, you've raised some very pertinent points over there. Ticketing system is one very important point you've raised. You've spoken about waiting areas or places where people can be, especially those who are senior citizens. What about those people?
Absolutely.
There are visuals of senior citizens literally diving headfirst
True.
while saving themselves, or perhaps when they were pushed. That's an interesting point over there. CCTV, drone systems, public awareness, ma'am. Unfortunately, we are in a situation where unless and until we're told to make a line, we don't make that.
What
That's
about
again,
the clear pathways?
Yeah.
Because they should designate clear pathways for devotees to follow in order to reduce the congestion and confusion. So in the chaotic mode, when something like this happens, they are not even aware about the clear pathways, which
Correct.
is very, very important during this kind of extreme crowds. So a devotee doesn't have any awareness where to go, what is the exit point, where to head over. So these are all major lapses which have created such a terrible, tragic incident, which we have seen it, which is very, very unfortunate.
So what do we
these
do now? What do we do? Because we don't want a situation where this case goes on and on and on. It's droning on. There is no solution. There is nobody who takes accountability. What do we do about that?
One has to take the accountability, because when there is an expectation of 5,000 devotees who will be turned out on this pious day, so it might augment. So it is a basic common sense that when we are expecting 5,000, what is the provision the temple authority there have actually taken care of? 5,000 is just not a normal number. Even if it is 5,000, as what I have clearly mentioned to you, what is that when the crowd comes, when the devotees with such crowd comes, you cannot control them. So where is the mechanism of the entry and exit points? Where is the place for them to have a space and place for them to accommodate themselves in the times of crisis?
Correct.
In times of emergency, right? Because we said we have people coming elderly, there are children, there are people who are vulnerable to few things. So could be because of few health conditions too. So what is that mechanism, the safety protocol, what they have actually trying to implement there, when this is a severe failure? And this is a big eye opener, I say, because these kind of things which happen, which is very unfortunate, but it's a big eye opener, at least now people to have a proper mechanism, a proper tools where they can kind of go for crowd control management in an efficient, much more efficient way.
Right, absolutely, ma'am. Very pertinent points there being raised by you. I'd like to thank you for joining us on this episode of Deep Dive by NewsX. It is, of course, the top story of the day, and a very unfortunate one at that. The fact that 9 lives have been lost in this stampede. What's, of course, there that we want to see is accountability, and we will continue to cover this story very closely. Thanks for watching.